So to conclude on this subject, you would say that someone wanting to experience the larger reality would do themselves a great benefit in cutting out all of these.
Yes, if you're really serious about experiencing a larger reality, about improving your meditation, about achieving that point consciousness state and being able to hold it, if these are things you really want to experience, then you need to get rid of the nicotine, get rid of the alcohol, get rid of the caffeine, and get rid of all the preservatives. You read everything you eat. Don't put anything in your mouth that you haven't read what the ingredients are and that you don't trust. Okay? And if it has any kind of sugar in it, whether it's maltodextrin or there's all kinds of code words for sugar, then don't eat it. It's just that simple. And sugar, preservatives, all these things that are mind altering. But again, this is just my experience, my research, my 2 or 3 years of researching different kinds of food. Do it for yourself. Do it for yourself. Stay off all this stuff, just to see how it works. Stay off all this stuff for a month. Don't eat any kind of sugar, period, for a month. Your fruit, eat fruit, but don't overdo it. Don't eat too much at one time. Okay? Then, get into a meditative state. Get into that clear state. Okay? Then, take a little bite of something. And go right back to that meditative state and see how your mind changes. So do the research. Don't just say, well, okay, I shouldn't eat sugar because Tom Campbell tells me I shouldn't do that. That's just like, trying to go out of body, because Tom Campbell, says you should do it this way. You've got to do the research yourself. It has to be your truth, or you're just believing it, or not believing it. Belief doesn't carry any. Belief carries no gumption. You can believe it. Say, all right, I'm psyched. I want to learn how to do this stuff. I want to cut out sugar, and that'll last for about a week. After the withdrawals start to kick in, you'll find an excuse. Oh, darn, I hate such and such, and it had sugar in it. Well, since I had that, I might as well have another one, You will get that, and it'll just disappear. Unless it's your truth, it's not your reality. It doesn't belong to you. So you have to do the experiment. One way that you can tell, particularly with the sugar or a preservative, is that they tend to give you headaches. They make you feel pain. Now, if you don't move, if you're very still, you don't feel that pain. Often the pain can be sensed more clearly by moving. So when you take that little thing to eat, and then you try that meditation, take your head and shake it vigorously, forward to back, just a real vigorous shaking, and side to side. Shake your head. And if suddenly when you do that shake, pain starts to well up, try that again after you haven't had any preservatives or sugar for a few weeks, and you'll find that you don't have any of that pain. That pain disappears. Okay? But you're used to that pain in general, so you don't react to it. When you shake, it kind of accentuates it. So that's one test you can do. Just shake your head. When I say shake your head, I don't mean slow, but just give it a hard, give it a hard shake back and forth for 10 seconds, not very long, 5 seconds. And see if you don't feel the pain in your head. It just feels like a headache up here in your forehead someplace. And notice that when your diet's clean, shaking your head doesn't give you a headache. Shaking your head should not give you a headache. It only gives you a headache if your brain chemistry is messed up. And that shaking that brain back and forth evidently somehow accentuates the fact that it's messed up. I'm not sure exactly why that does that. It probably has something to do with the force inside the blood and how things get absorbed and some sort of issue like that. I don't know, but I just know that it works. But that's a tool then that you can use. So clear your system. Actually, to clear your system, you need to be off all sugar and preservatives for like 3 months. It'll take that long to clear your system. When your body starts to ring, and I know this sounds odd, but it's just my experimental, it's what I've kind of found. As you eat that sugar, I said that you get unstable. That stability kind of damps out with time. The worst of it goes away in about 4 hours. That's why I say in about 4 hours you get over it. So here's your sugar doing this. And 4 hours later, it's kind of gone big, smaller, 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 damps out. That's what they call damping out. The signal damps. Okay, but it doesn't go to zero. 6 hours, 10 hours, a day later, there's still little residuals of that, it seems. All the sugar you ate, now you've got all these pulses going on, all different frequencies at all different times and phases. Sometimes it builds up and you get worse. Sometimes it cancels out, you get better. So if your mind is kind of sometimes focused, sometimes not, you meditate and there's a moment of clarity and oh, now it's gone. Well, that's because you have all this going on inside your head. Your consciousness is unstable because your brain is unstable. The brain is the constraints that limit what your consciousness can do. That's what your brain is. Your brain is a virtual brain. You don't have a real brain because you don't have a real body. All that's virtual. The virtual brain is a representation of the rule set, right? Biology. Rule sets are science. So it's a representation of the rule set that limits what you can do with your consciousness while you're in this physical reality. That's what the brain is. It's just your limiter. You get a tumor on that brain, well, now there's less you can do. You've just got more constraints. Okay, well, you eat some sugar, well, you just got more constraints. You know, whatever. You get a bruise on your brain from a hard hit on the head, you've just added some constraints to your perception. You used to be able to perceive all this. Now you get hit on the head, you don't see too well out of one eye because that part of the brain's been bruised. Well, now you have more constraints placed on your perception. So the brain is there to define the constraints that the rule set places on your perception. You can only perceive within the rule set. You can only do anything within the rule set. The rule set defines this reality. That's what your brain is. It's a virtual organ evolved with the rule set that constrains your awareness in this reality. All virtual reality games are made this way. You have constraints. In World of Warcraft, you have hit points. Or you have affinity points where you get along with people. These are constraints. Otherwise, if you didn't have constraints, the game wouldn't be any fun. There would be no strategy, no way to, it just wouldn't be fun. The constraints are what create context. Without constraints, there's no context of your interaction. Okay, well, how do you define these constraints? Well, they're all defined for us by the rule set. We cannot jump 15 feet in the air. Rule set says we can't do that. It's not the way our bodies are made, our muscles are constructed, our joints are constructed. People can't jump 15 feet in the air. Unaided, of course. We don't work like that. Now, other things maybe can jump 10 times their height. People don't. They're not made that way. The rule set says human beings can't just leap 15 feet in the air. You see, the rule set gives us constraints. That's the constraint of our muscular skeletal system. Again, the rule set. All that was developed, was evolved within the big digital bang that created this rule set that we abide by. Same with the brain. The brain's just an organ that defines the constraints that limits our awareness. So now you take this brain that limits your awareness and you start zinging it and making it unstable. And then you wonder why it's hard to meditate. You see, and why you can't hold that consciousness state, point consciousness. Well, you're unstable. You have added constraints to the problem. So yes, if you want to learn to do these things, then put down the cement block. Okay? Stop trying to run that cement block. Put it down and do these things, and they'll be much easier and you'll be much more effective at it. Easy to say, hard to do. Oh yes, give up sugar. I've had any number of people says, all right, I'm going to give up sugar. And all of them so far that I know of did it for about a week, 2 weeks, and it was cheap little on the side, or darn, this had sugar in it, and I just forgot to read it, and on and on and on, because drug addicts make up excuses. They find reasons to get their drug. Lapse of memory, I didn't know, well, just a little bit. So, yes, many people say, I'm going to do this. Very few ever do, because it's an addictive drug, and you're an addict, and it's just not that easy to walk away from an addictive drug, particularly one that's that ubiquitous. You know, if your addiction is heroin, well, you just have to not go places where they have heroin. Don't go where they sell heroin. You know, that's easy. Well, to say don't go where they have sugar, you know, there's no way to do that. You know, you'll find that 90% of what's in a grocery store becomes inedible to you. So it isn't that trivial, but it can be done. You just have to want to do it enough to get out of the addiction. And then you probably won't go back to the addiction, because if you get rid of that addiction, you feel so much better, your mind is clearer, a lot of things start to resolve themselves. You know, attitude gets better, relationships get better, meditation gets better, and then you eat that sugar and it's like, you know, it's like being hit in the head with a hammer. It doesn't feel good. So it's not as hard to stay off sugar as it is to get off sugar. But then that's true with a lot of drugs.